Hey, my name is Matthew Smith, and I teach guitar, and I've been wanting to make a series of videos about things that have come up a lot in either my own playing or my players' playing in the lessons over the years. I've been teaching guitar for 29 years, and I've seen a lot, and I finally have some wisdom, just blessed through the experience, really. And this video I wanted to make today is about sequential placement. This is something that most guitarists don't know about, or maybe they do and they don't really realize they're doing it. But I can tell you that I had to be shown it. I would not have done this naturally, I don't think. And almost every single player I've ever observed does the opposite of the sequential placement idea I'm going to show you. Let me give you an example. So basically, there's only one type of guitar playing where you have to put all your fingers down at once. And that would be when you're strumming. So if I'm strumming, yes, I've got to get all of the fingers down at once. And that is the most brutal, kind of bullish kind of guitar playing, and the least interesting, let's be honest. Most of us try to finally get to a point where instead of just strumming, maybe we're like... mixing a little strumming in with a little picking, or maybe... So here's a good example. Simple Man has a really kind of easy chord sequence and a really nice elegiac picking pattern that sort of traces its way back to the early 19th century. This So most players would look at that like, okay, it's C, and then I play this picking pattern. Okay, and then it's G, so I set up G, and then it's this picking pattern. And then I set up A minor, and then I play this picking pattern. And most of us will not allow ourselves to start playing until we have the chords set up. And we've learned this from the beginning of guitar when we had to switch and get all our fingers down before we could strum. But you gotta break that habit at some point to learn the better way to play the art of the technique of the more graceful left hand. So let me show you how sequential placement would apply to that same song. The idea behind sequential placement is you don't put a finger down until it's time to play that string. Why would you? For the C, you don't have to have any fingers down to start except the 3. Then you put the 2 down, and then you have a couple more strings to play before you have to even set the 1. So you don't even have to be quick at switching your chords to play that. But you do have to time and organize the sequence of the placing of the fingers with the picking. Then when you play the G, all you have to set is the bass. And then here's the greatest. On chords with open bass notes like A minor, you don't have to have any fingers set to start playing. But I can't tell you how many times I watch people they will not even play the first note until they got everything set and then play. But really, you could do the A minor like... And again, look how long you have before you have to set that last finger. So that's how you really want to play it. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, well, I can switch those chords quick enough. I mean, I already played that song, and I don't need to go back, and that's overkill. And maybe in certain songs you could say, yeah, I don't need to really pay attention to that. But I'm telling you, I've been playing for a long time, and it's a make or break. There have been certain pieces and songs, there's no way I'd have gotten them down if I never learned how to sequentially place my fingers. And it's not a natural thing to think about. And most people have a habit of setting everything up before they play, and that's it. They don't, how are you going to break that habit? Another really cool example that came up was someone wanted to learn. I'm kind of butchering this, sorry. So my player was going, they started off, they had their fingers set, and they played the... Whoops. And then they wouldn't even start the next thing until they got their fingers, so they had to pause. And then they paused, and so everything they played had a pause in it. And they've been playing this thing for weeks, and it sounded the same every week. And I thought, well, the obvious problem here is going a little too fast for one in the practicing, but sequential placement would totally save that. Why wait? Every single one of those chords you play has open D string as the bass. You pluck the open D right there, you pluck the open D right here, you pluck the open D all the way through. You don't have to have any fingers down to play an open note. So you could really, go straight to the open note while you're moving rather than stop your playing and not allow yourself to go until you've gotten there. Open note and then open note and then... And the first time that player did it, they had to kind of slow down and get the hang of it for a minute or two. But they could play, all of a sudden they, for the first time, didn't have a pause, and it was a major breakthrough. But the minute, that player kind of stopped thinking about it, it went right back to... And it's such a hard habit to break because it's so much easier to think in terms of I got to set all these fingers up and then play. But if you can somehow, in that case, just go straight to the open note, and I bet you your left hand will catch up with your right hand if you pluck that open D right away, rather than, making your right hand wait on your left hand. So there's other examples, and I could even show you the classical guitar piece that I was doing that, where this whole issue came up for me, and my teacher basically stopped and said, Matthew, do you realize that you're not letting yourself even start the measure until you have all your fingers set? And he said, you'll never survive playing music, hard music on the guitar playing like that. You have to sequentially... once I got the hang of it, like I said, it's like a religious kind of technique or rule I follow, and it's definitely made a huge difference in my playing. And so, food for thought, sequential placement. If you got any thoughts or questions, I'll try to stay on top of that. But I hope that helps or gets the wheels turning for some of you guys. All right, enjoy.